right, so we're gonna start in 3, 2, 1. Hello, and welcome back to the Have We Made It Yet podcast. I am your co-host, comedian Josh Yang.
And I am Lucas John Ng, the actor portion of this podcast.
Yes, he is, and he's a very important actor portion of this podcast because, well, we don't really have another actor portion of this podcast. Well, I mean, it's like, okay, so this podcast is about two creatives just starting their journey in the process of making it. I'm starting in comedy. Lucas is got the acting bug, and we're just out here trying to make it. Therefore, we call this podcast the Have We Made It Yet podcast, where we talk about the process of making it and have guests along as well to share their experience. Which leads me to this very important question that we always ask at the top of our podcast. Lucas, have you made it yet?
No. And what I realized is mainly I really should work on my Cantonese because I've gotten like 2 auditions recently that have required me to like speak fluently in Cantonese. And man, oh man, when I see the playback of my auditions, because it's all self-tapes, it is embarrassing. So, I mean, they're going to be good gigs. And one of the major things is sometimes I just submit the tape and like hope I don't get it sometimes because there's no way I can recreate that magic that I had in the audition room, which is this room right now.
Well, I mean, like you could always, once you're on the set, do the words or at least say them out and then like redub them later in the studio where you can get all the
ADR.
Yeah, and like all the pronunciation correct or like smooth or whatever. Because when I did the Mandarin interview for the Fresh Rice comedy set promo, I was already, it was like first interview and then having to explain it and stumble around in Mandarin. Ugh.
Yeah. And it comes from like a sense of shame sometimes too, at least for me. It's like how I remember I was on exchange one year and then like the Italians were like, they all knew Italian. And they're like, do you know another language? I'm like, oh shit. They're like, shame on you, Lucas. I'm like, oh. and then the kindest of ways though, because they were really nice. But that's when it really occurred to me. It's like, I look like this, but I speak this. It's like, it's just weird and jarring. So anyways, I got to work on my second language. Mr. Josh Yang, have you made it yet?
I have not made it yet. And there's very little to show for it for the last little bit. I've just been kind of, living at home back in Vancouver, kind of making sure, I'm getting back into my regular routine from before, just working on myself, and then the comedy will come whenever. So I haven't made it yet. I'm looking forward to, spring when we're past this deep, dark winter that will be descending upon us.
Are you pining for any shows in Vancouver right now?
I mean, I would like to, and I'm kind of trying to look around, but it's like, if it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm kind of very mellow out right now. But other than that, I don't know. Well, I mean, we'll see. Either way, though, it's a process. It's still a process. So a lot of people take breaks in between, or other things get involved in life. But it is important to, try to maintain some consistency. And you know what? To continue maintaining that consistency, we have a guest today that is consistent.
Wow. If there was a segue right now, I'd be writing it because that was beautiful, Josh.
Thank you. I came up with that on the fly because we have our first repeat guest on the Have We Made It Yet podcast. He actually joined us this time last year to promote his music video 2015. This guest was a great guest on episode 35, LA Confidential. He's an LA based rapper that I met when we were both just students in Europe. I was on an exchange there, and found out he was moved to LA to become a musician, rapper, producer. Joined the podcast last year, was a great guest. And we thought, hey, you know what? He's got a new music video coming out, new song dropping called New Reality as well. So we might as well bring him back on and talk about it. So please welcome back again to the Have We Made It Yet podcast, Kontent.
Woo!
What's up, guys? Great to be back.
Yeah, and that you get the badge if we, future the 5-year, 10-year span of this podcast. If they're looking for some trivia, who was the first repeat guest on the Have We Made It Yet podcast? It's got to be Kontent.
That's the answer.
Love it. We should get him like a green jacket one day too.
Ooh, yeah, because like what is it? SNL has that 5 timers jacket, something like that. If you come on host that SNL 5 times, you get some kind of like merch, some swag.
I get a jersey retirement. Haven't made it yet.
True.
Afters.
Yeah. Merch. I mean, hey, you keep churning out those music videos. We'll keep having you on. But yeah, so new song, new reality. Tell us a little bit about it, because you sent us a preview of the YouTube video and the MV. The MV looks great. The song is great. I love the tracks you have laid down in the background. But yeah, tell us a bit about the new song.
Thank you, man. So yeah, new reality. It's coming out. I mean, today. By the time people will hear this, it's already out. So I really love this song. It's very important to me because like last year when we talked, I dropped 2 more songs, Peach Flavored Vodka and JR, and they were all cool. I'm proud of all of them. But like I was still like last year, in the search of like my sound and who I want to be as an artist. And it was unique, of course, but it wasn't yet like where I really wanted it to be, because I always wanted to like, because my background growing up was like playing piano and also learning some classical music. And I always loved like combining that with hip hop. But I didn't fully do that yet last year. So I was like, damn, like this would be so cool for me. Like as a sound, I want to carve this out. I also love the band Muse, and kind of what they did with rock, I would love to do with hip hop. So I remember just last year at the end, like people telling me like those songs are cool, but I already showed them new reality in the back. And they were like, yo, but this is really the style that, you said you always wanted to make. So I was like, damn, they're right. So I even had other songs to release first, and they were like, yo, why are you waiting? Like, just focus on this, and then this is going to be your style. So that's how it all came about. And it took a while because, the whole year I didn't release much because I wanted to get the right video for it.
Yeah.
And I found that with Hector Rodriguez. He's an amazing director, and he really executed this vision, like the artsiness of the video, the colors. It really fits well with the song. And so, so it's kind of like my interpretation of how I want hip hop to sound, like with this classical piano that I wrote mixed with these heavy, hard drums that I produced and with the raps over them. So I'm really proud of it.
Like what I noticed in that song, it almost felt like you had like a chip on your shoulder, because there's lines like "not gonna be you" and everything like that. And it's like a whole process of like you finding yourself in the midst of all these other influences that are trying to shape you at the same time. Did that new identity, new reality come as a result of like a mental breakthrough you had?
It was realizing that, especially me as a producer, everything I produce, I can't just rap on everything. Like the problem is when you make something yourself, like, for example, let's just pick Josh as an example. Like if you write a joke and you might think, oh, this is genius, but are you the one that should say that joke? Or is it maybe meant for somebody else that's better, right? So as a producer, you always make beats and of course you love them because they're your little babies, but like I should not rap on everything I make because it might just not be for me, or it doesn't mean that that's my sound. And I feel like at the end of last year, that's what I kind of did, like with JR, also the one before it. Like they're great songs and beats, but like I maybe didn't need to go on. Like I also could have given them to somebody else. Whereas new reality, I'm really proud. For the first time, I realized, yo, no, this was really mine, and I had to go on this one, and I couldn't give this beat to anybody else. So, and it was also very similar with Vivaldi, what I did like a while more ago, where I sampled Antonio Vivaldi. That was also one of those moments where I was like, yo, this is dope. And so I just tried to get back to that. And I'm definitely going to focus on that now and like not derail into, yo, but I got these cool beats, I want to hop on these. But like, you got to stick to your direction. You can't let it kind of take your path away.
Yeah, no, that's very true. And you bring up a really interesting point, because a lot of comedians do that in terms of like workshopping their jokes in front of other comedians, or just like writing together, is like you give tags to each other, tagging on or adding on like one-liners here and there for other comedians' jokes, because it's like you get your creative mind going. You just like, you kind of support what they're putting out there, and like by adding these tags on, it makes their jokes better. But it's also kind of like when you put out certain jokes as well, like a lot of comedians do have like a writing process, whereas like, I thought of this great joke, it works perfectly with your style, it may not come off with my style, but the joke in and of itself is still good. So like you give it to other comedians, or like other comedians would just like buy it off of you to, make sure that you get paid for your work. And like I find that interesting for on the musician side as well, because like musicians will produce beats, and like they'll be these great beats, really popular. And then I always found it interesting that like they'll produce it, but then they'll have other artists on it, and then it just almost feels like, just as a casual listener, it's hard to realize that produced beats aren't always going to come from the actual artist who's singing them. It's like, songs are sometimes given to other artists through productions, or like through music studios and stuff like that. It's always hard to separate it, but it is important that like you do have that element in that collaboration. You create these beats, but they probably work better with somebody else. Do you find then that like you're more, I mean, right now you managed to blend both of them together, like your rapping is blending with your desired style, but do you find yourself, I guess, on a day-to-day, generally when in your creative process, do you find yourself leaning more towards producing or more towards like rapping at this point?
I mean, it's both. For me, it's always like wearing two hats, so I really got to like split it up. So because I do produce a lot for other artists, but then I'm really just a producer, right? But I do know when I make something, oh, okay, this is gonna be more for me, because like for example, New Reality, like that piano that you hear throughout the song, like I wrote that like 6 years ago on piano or something, or 7 years ago. Like I always had it just as a piano song, playing on piano, but I never knew what to do with it. I was like, damn, how sick would it be if I can put this into hip hop beat? But it just took me so long to figure it out, right? It's just it's also melodic. I was like, okay, I want to really be able to make this. So those are things where I know, okay, this is meant for me. But of course, you kind of have to split that in a way. Like for me, it's really important to know, okay, now I'm the artist, and now I'm the producer. And it's sometimes awkward and funny when I have sessions with other producers, and for example, they like my music, and then it's like we're in the session and we're just making something, and I don't really know what the intention is. They're like, yo, so we're making something for you or just for somebody else? And I'm like, bro, like we have to decide that, because I don't let's decide on that, because that changes everything, because then I would write more lyrics. So sessions is again like an own different scenario.
Since you guys were talking about a bit about samples in New Reality and all that stuff there too, I mean, I'm gonna go out on a limb because I heard something that like really stuck out to me. Are you a Frank Ocean fan?
Yeah, I love Frank Ocean.
Awesome. Okay, so at the very beginning of your track, there is the strings that come in, and it kind of crescendos up, and it just kind of dies. Is that sample from Pink and White?
No, but the exact same thing happens there. So it's just basically,
okay.
It's just they just have strings, and it's again an automation that just gets louder, and then it's gone.
Okay.
But mine are more distorted. The one on Pink and White are more clean.
Okay. Gotcha. Because I was like, I was listening to a lot of different influences that you had. I didn't know that you also created that piano track there too.
Yeah. It's not just a sample from somebody. Like I played it. Like
that's wicked. Like what in terms of the other influences that you had for creating this track though, what other artists did you look up to when you were creating that track?
I mean, I love Tyler, the creator. I love alternative rap, everything that's a little bit more weird. But like I said, at the same time, I also love Muse, like growing up Muse and Coldplay and all these band stuff. So And I love what kind of Muse did with rock and roll. I don't know if you guys are Muse fans, but they really, you are okay, because they really
Absolution, love that.
Yeah, they really brought classical music to rock, and like, damn, I would love, like, I want to do that with hip hop. So that's kind of like my lane, and this song is kind of like that starts this whole thing for me now.
No doubt, man. I also saw in the playlist that you had in like promoting this new single here that you had, of course, you had Tyler on there, but also Muse, and you had like a pretty deep cut. It was like "Pray for Absolution" that was on there.
Apocalypse, please.
Yeah. Like that starts the album off in a great way, man. Like that's a great opening track to that album. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Yeah, that song is crazy. And yeah.
Shit. Cool. So like, sorry, just piano, I guess, is a really like pivotal instrument for you then too.
Totally. Like the strings you hear on there, a friend of mine, Martin de la Nina, he arranged them.
Nice.
He's like has orchestral backgrounds. I was like, yo, can you help me with this? Because I don't know that much about strings. And he really, helped me with that. It was awesome. So it was a very collaborative song for me, because I usually, producers do it like we're trying to do everything sometimes, and like, but this time a friend of mine did the vocal production, Martin helped with the strings, so it was very collaborative. So that was really cool.
Nice. Cool. And with the with the focus on trying to blend in more classical music and classical themes, like, have you thought about or like realized as you were producing different things as like, oh, I think this could be kind of like a signature beat or like a signature kind of motif throughout your music, like maybe something more specific, like a specific like bar layout for that's classically themed? Because I remember seeing this like interesting thing through like social media, how I didn't know this because I don't think I realized Pharrell produced all those songs, but Pharrell always has his signature like 4-beat intro to all of his songs.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, and it's like, do you have something like that, or are you thinking it's like it'd be cool to develop something like that?
I mean, I don't have a tag. I don't have a producer tag. But yeah, what I'm doing right now, that could become my signature. But of course, the sound is more aimed for me. So when I produce for others, it's of course very different. But I don't know if I have a signature, but I do love weird heavy drums. Like drums are really what I love.
Yeah.
So my goal would be that people hear something, because I do love all the producer tags, but I would prefer it if people would just hear something and be like, oh, let me look up who this is. And then I knew it, like it was dope, and they thought I did it or whoever. I think that's even cooler when you're able to achieve that as a producer. Then if it's a tag, it's obvious. Like,
right.
So that would be the goal, that at one point you develop a sound that people kind of know already. Like for me, honestly, I'm such a Pharrell fan. Like even without the 4 count, I can mostly hear when it's Pharrell. Like,
nice.
It's just the bounce and the sounds. Like you can just hear it's him. Same with Timbaland, or like, whenever it's more beatboxy or something, you just look it up and then you realize, damn. And I think that's way cooler to me when I'm able to find that out than if I just hear a tag and it's obvious.
Right. It kind of reminds me, like sometimes I hear like a Drake track, like Noah 40, Noah Shabab and everything. And it's like the whole eerie kind of synth vibe to his, to like all of CLB's tracks and everything like that too.
Yeah.
Even when I hear of strings, I hear of like Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead, and it just sounds weird. And you're like, that is totally Johnny Greenwood. Then you read the credits and you're like, oh, that he actually orchestrated that.
Yeah.
Like I did want to throw this out there just for fun. Are you Donda or CLB?
Donda, dude.
Yeah, jail. Yeah, I feel you. Yeah.
Dude, totally. Like, I don't want to start any debates. But for me, it's a clear pick.
Nice.
Are you team CLB? Do we have beef now, or what's the?
Dude, I've been listening to Donda way more than CLB.
It has definitely more replay. I don't think it's even close, but I don't want to come off as a hater. I just don't think it's even close.
Yeah. It just feels like, like Donda definitely feels like more like an art piece, whereas CLB feels like, something you listen to, when you have a good party, and that's good. But
yeah, it's just, not really evolving.
Sorry, Josh, did you have a question that I cut you off there?
No. I was just thinking, it's like, I wish I think again, I like it's a nice balance that you're here, Lucas, because I really don't listen to much music, too much music. So it's like Donda CLB is like, oh, I wish I had an opinion. I actually haven't really listened to them in general, but it's like, yeah, we strike a good balance. So this is good. We need you. I'm nothing without you. Complete me, Lucas.
Josh.
Yeah.
It's all good.
But I did more about all the shows though.
That's true. That's true. But I did have some interesting, because like I am very in tune with like visuals and like visual storytelling. Like I love the choice of like the 4:3 aspect ratio on the music video.
Yeah,
like it definitely is starting to become more and more popular, and like I like how artists are trying to go for that look now. It's like you don't have to feel like you have to fill out the whole screen. It's like somehow that kind of aspect ratio is also focuses the attention a bit more. So it's like, yeah, I wonder, like, how did you guys come up with the decision to be like, let's commit to doing this like 4:3?
Yeah, so for me, like you guys mentioned before, like Tyler and all those, like always big influences, also visually. So I always love these artsy music videos that are like lo-fi, colorful. I just love them. And so Hector Rodriguez, the guy who directed it, he's such a pro. And like I just told him I want colors, like the nature. I want, a lot of contrast and saturation, like. And then he had the idea, let's do 4:3. And I thought about it. I was like, damn, that's dope. Yeah, let's do it. Because I never did that before. And it really gives it a whole different vibe. And so I'm really happy. And he had a dope spot. We went to Palos Verdes, and beautiful nature outdoor spot where we had this iconic tree. That's like the whole first verse of the song.
Nice.
And it was just beautiful. And that's almost my favorite scene. It's like the whole contrast and stuff. And then we said, okay, and then the chorus, I do want, paint and colors. And I could basically dripped in paint.
Yo, that was kind of intense. Just like watching it. I think it was like visually, I understand, like, the goal artistically, but then like I'm just imagining it happening to myself, and it's like, oh man, just the feeling of it in your hair, just on your body is like. And wait, that was your idea? Your idea was to like go for it,
dude. And it was so. I'm gonna release a behind the scenes soon, so that's gonna be funny. But it was so fun to plan that, man, because we have no idea about paint really.
Yeah,
I was like, how are we gonna do this? And like, I was naive, like, oh, we're for sure gonna find some body paint. So I go to these stores and look for body paint, and no one really has body paint. Like, it was just for children, like, these children paint where they can play at birthday parties.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not gonna do, because we need like paint dripping down on me. We can't just have these little tubes. So he was like, okay, dude, if we don't find, I'm just gonna get like house paint. And I did some research, and I was like, yo, this is chemical as fuck. Like, you might really hurt yourself. Like, this can get dangerous. And I'm just thinking, damn, dude, for art's sake, but I can't like kill myself. So I asked my roommate, and he's like, yo, there's different paints that are less harmful, less chemical. So like between these two, you should pick that one. I was like, okay. And then we just had these 3 buckets of paint basically. And it was crazy because it was a one take. So really had to nail it. Like, because we bought the canvas, we bought the paints. So this is going to be it. And there was no way to really rehearse it. So I was just in this white suit at least. And then like we practiced without the paint a few times. And there's a cool behind the scenes video of it that I'm definitely going to post. But it all went well. And we did it ×2 because we wanted to slow down the lip movements. So I had to be like, "Sam, I won't be what you like to see." And then it was like Chipmunk. It was fast as hell. That's why we only did the chorus, because like the verses would have been impossible. So it was really just a one take, and I was nervous. But then, my hair was covered in paint, and it was disgusting. But like it went well, and then I just ran to the shower.
Nice.
Where in the schedule of shots was that paint scene filmed in? Like earlier or later?
That was last. That was just at night.
Good. Okay.
That was at night. we did it all in one day, but yeah, that was at night.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. And like, yeah, I noticed the 2 times as well, because the lips matched up, but like, the time and the solos, and that's always a great effect.
Yeah, and it makes the pain drop slower.
Oh yeah, because then like it does make it seem like the pain is much thicker than it is. So it's like it's emotion in space would, like, you'll get more of it, as opposed to like, oh, it's just drip and then it's done. You don't get as much of the visual element.
Totally. But yeah, I can't recommend, putting your body through this, but if you have
for art, man, for art.
But there's probably some good body paint. You just probably have to order it online way earlier. Get the buckets, because it's tough if you want to be like really drenched in paint. You need to get these buckets. So
yeah. Like you mentioned the DP, I also mentioned the director too. But how big of a crew and cast did you have in this video?
Not big at all. So it was literally like the director, the DP, my girlfriend, who also did behind the scenes, one photographer for behind the scenes, and the director's girlfriend. So we were literally just 5 people, and that's what we did.
Crazy. How did you meet the director, by the way? What was the initial connection there?
It was just IG connection through a friend, so through someone that went to school with me.
Oh, okay.
And he recommended the behind the scenes photographer, and he recommended the director, and that's how it kind of
nice
about. It was really cool. It was really, really pleasant experience.
And is the director, like, is that what they do as well, just like in terms of directing and production side?
Well, yeah, that's his job. That's what he does. So, and he likes to collaborate with his DP, because they have both the same camera. So we actually had the same camera twice, but his DP really knows a lot about the cameras and stuff, and he likes to focus more on directing. So they're a great team, great combo.
Nice.
And it was definitely an upgrade for me, because until then I always worked, DIY, like, of course, more on a budget with filmmakers that also, were DPs and directing at the same time. But it's way better if you really have someone to just focus on directing instead of everything.
Yeah, no, that's definitely for sure. It you can see kind of the quality of it in the shots as well. Like, I really noticed that even though you were in broad daylight, like the shots of you in front of the tree were still very well lit, and like they were lit in a way that they kind of stood out visually as well. And like, I already see that as something like extremely hard to do. Like, you need a DP who knows what they're doing in order to
totally
make sure. Yeah,
totally. It was really amazing.
Like, seeing your guys' other videos too, from your like open studios and everything like that, from your team there. Like, I remember Kevy3TM had rented a U-Haul, and you guys were what looked like it was on a freeway while it was open and everything like that, going down that busy street. Like, in terms of production value, you guys are really stepping up the ante right now. Totally. And so, like, what can you say for the rest of this year and going on beyond? Like, what do you want to really push for these upcoming 2 years?
So for me, it's really for my own stuff. I just wanted to look super clean. So like either, and I feel like there's 2 ways to go about it. Either like what we just did with New Reality, because that was more of a bigger production, more budget. So I definitely want to have these 2, but budget wise, you can't always have these. But then at the same time, my next video that's going to come out in November, I did it with another friend of mine, and those are very much simpler, but still very clean. But those are more like, let's say, lyric videos where I'm just like sitting somewhere in nature or somewhere at a cool spot with a nice quality. And it's really just lyric video, me performing the song. So, but it still looks way better than if you have no video, than if you just release a song. So those are kind of like my two ways how I want to go about it. Either it's going to be a bigger production like we just did with New Reality, or keep it very simple, but still super clean and with a nice, again, lo-fi vibe, but just like camera zooming in and have like a short performance.
Yeah.
I feel like, to me, I don't know how it is for other artists, but I think that's going to be my balance, to be able to at least, because I do want to have consistent releases. So as long as I can have a video for each song, that's what matters, really.
Yeah, and it has been really impressive because like throughout this year, keeping track of like Open Studios, Kevy 3TM and Ivy Shocker is it's like it does seem like every month or every 2 months they're releasing something new. So it's always great to see that, that hustle. You're like supporting each other, and you guys always more or less like appear in each other's music videos or like, supporting the production side as well. So I mean, again, it's kind of like that making it process and that experience. You do really need to find collaborators that are like as committed as you are to be able to get that support that you need.
Totally. And it's really important, like, because every time you release, you kind of need to have a video. Like, people just love when you have a video, and it's just hard to release music without a video. It's just, even if it's just very simple, but people do love videos a lot.
Yeah. Dude, would it be your goal right now, like further on in the future, to do like Beyonce, like a video album and everything like that?
Of course, man. Of course. I mean, I love it, dude. If it would be after, if money would not be a problem, I would have crazy production for every song. Like,
I love it.
I think it's beautiful, and it's also important if you want to acquire fans. Like, they need to also love you visually in a way, connect with you, and it's just easy to connect with a video than if they just listen to your song but they don't have an image of you in mind yet.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of which, like what fans really connect to, and where the state that the music industry is now, it just seems like as well, if you're able to get a song or like a 30 second like part of your song on TikTok and it blows up on there, it's just the scale through which your song becomes recognized just goes through the roof. Is like, is that something where it's like, as a producer, is like maybe you take that into a little bit of consideration, or it's like at the same time, it's like, who knows what catches on TikTok nowadays?
Totally. That's the thing. Like, there's no rules, man. Like, there's so many ways of blowing up. Like, it's crazy. So there's really no excuses. And it's funny because my girlfriend, she's in music management. Oh, cool. Like, she's on the business side. So she constantly bitches to me like, yo, you gotta do more social media, you gotta do more of this. Because of course, artists, we're lazy. Like, we're like, promotions are our least favorite part, but it's just so important. It's the most important part. So it's just funny. And she really opened my eyes and for this, like, because I'm not on TikTok. Like, I'm like, not that I'm too old, but I'm just like, I just don't like it that much, but I have to be on, just know what's going on. And I understand that it can be so important. It can be a game changer. So even I started doing some like reels and TikToks where I just make beats out of weird sounds. So like, I find a sound somewhere and I make, but of course, if I want to be successful with that, I have to do it way more consistent. Like, you have to have like 2 videos each week or 3 of them. And like, the more, the better. So that's, again, it's a new kind of job. You really then have to do this all the time. So it's really interesting to know there's so many different things that work. Same with IB Shocker. I mean, he blew up on TikTok because just of a behind the scenes of one of his videos that actually I filmed. And it was literally just the actress going bananas. Right. And she just went out crazy. And I just caught that on my phone. And that got like 1.5 million clicks or something on TikTok.
Oh,
because she just had to be like his crazy girlfriend, and we didn't know what she was gonna do, and she was improvising. And I filmed it, and she like threw the full wine bottle on the ground and screamed, and it was just wild. But of course, that's the funny element that makes these videos blow up, and it worked for him. But yeah, there's just so many different ways of achieving that. It's crazy.
Dude, just put up a dance with New Reality and you should be good.
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's another way.
Twisty slide, come on, man. You got this. You got this, man.
Yeah, man.
Oh my god.
Have you seen like, I saw some of those producing like posts that you put, and like I found those really interesting as well, because like it gives you like, for a layman, like it gives you a little sense of like what a producer is like views or sees or can see. And like, I think something similar in the vein is like Charlie Puth. He had a couple recent TikToks that really blew up of like him creating a song, what seems to be like him coming up with the song in real time, which I have to be suspect about because it came out too good. It couldn't be like, oh, I flipped on a light switch and it's like, oh wow. It's like, as opposed to, yeah, he probably workshopped that for months. It's like light switch that works and then like blah blah blah. But yeah, like if you like when you see those type of TikToks, like how do you feel like that encompasses the actual producer's creative process to a certain degree, or is it kind of like it's like a fun creative spiel of it?
No, I mean, it's definitely amazing. I mean, I love to just use whatever sounds for producing too.
Yeah,
it's just, as a producer, you never think, oh, I should film everything I'm doing and upload it, right? Like you just never have that sense of I should share all of this what I'm doing. But of course, like people are interested by it, but you just have to make it in a format that everyone understands it. Like, of course, Charlie Puth's very good at what he does, but I agree with you. I mean, of course, it's over the top, like as if it's just happening in the moment, but of course it's all prepared and like,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, a lot of these things that you're doing, I mean, the same with acting or being a comedian. Like for you, it could be boring, like you're just going over lines, or you could practice a joke. But then if you think, yo, what if I film this, the regular viewer might think it's super interesting and they might actually blow up. Like, because I never seen someone practice a joke in front of the mirror, or like, but for you, that's normal. But like the people on TikTok might think that's amazing, bro. Like,
right. Yeah.
That could make you blow up. So it's just, as a producer, you're just always in your work and you don't realize, oh, what I'm doing here right now, a lot of people would think actually it's cool. I got to film it.
Yeah. I mean, like being able to show a little bit of the behind the screens and take an audience or a fan into the process is something where, like, it doesn't get promoted as much, but it probably does have some value in it. And I mean, I guess to a certain degree, our podcast kind of does that a little bit, and we get to discuss things a little bit more in depth about that. I mean, like for you, since the last time we had you on the podcast to now, clearly, like you've focused and found a bit more of that sound that you can identify as more like your artistic kind of form of expression, more a clearer form of that expression. But I would say, like from last year till this year, like what is something else that like you found that you grew as an artist that like is helping you make it?
So as an artist or as a producer?
Well, like I think artist in the sense of like producer and like rapper and in that area, as just like in terms of your art, I guess.
Like what I found out that really helps me now, you think, like you're saying?
Or like, it's been a year, is like, what is something you learned or like you realized that has helped you improve upon your work?
Totally. I mean, like with New Reality, just like kind of doing what you always want to do, like stay true to yourself, even though it's so cliche, like finally doing the things you always wanted to do in the first place. And like, you don't have to wait longer. Because for me, I could have been like, I could release a few more songs until I start with New Reality, but why wait? Like you might as well. Like also understanding that most of your old songs or your old things that are released, it might also just be practice. Like it might just be your journey of finding. And for me, like just let's say this song, for example, blows up, whatever, and a label steps in or whatever, like they might be like, yo, we got to wipe all your old songs. And I feel like at one point you should also be okay with it. Like, sure. But if I think of it, yeah, it was just all a journey and a practice. And now I'm here. And so you also see that with big artists, all of a sudden they have their debut album, but they had like 10 albums already, maybe somewhere on SoundCloud, but they all got put down. So, but what I learned, it's just, even stay more true to yourself, even though it sounds so cliche. That's really what it was. And also practice every day. Like as a producer, I really have to try produce every day. And as a rapper, I should rap every day. And I feel like it's also about habits. I mean, I read this book, Atomic Habits, that I really loved.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
It's all about that. It's just about habits. So it's like, everything you want to accomplish, you have to do it every day, even if it's just a little bit. And even now working with other producers in the industry, like just seeing how they work, it's crazy. Like so many hardworking people, and I'm learning a lot. And it's really just about, habits, you know.
That's important advice, definitely to give. Okay, well, I think we're coming towards the end of it, but I realized one thing. I'm not sure I asked you
There we are.
the question. So, my goodness, what a mistake on my part. But Kontent, it's been a year. Episode 35, you appeared. This is episode 64.
Mhm.
Kontent, have you made it yet?
No, Josh, I have not made it yet. But I'm definitely way closer to making it than I was a year ago.
Absolutely. And I think we get that sense as well. We get that feeling, and it's great to see and hear it in your music and the music video, New Reality, that is out now for everybody to go see on YouTube. We'll have links there, and definitely continue like streaming it, listening to it on Spotify and all those other platforms. But yeah, as a kind of a palate cleanser, we always like to do our little word association game at the end of our podcast. So these will be different words. So we'll get some new content from Kontent on these words associations there. So
wait. The one word, and I have to say one word.
Yeah. So it's like I'll have 10 words. Lucas will have 10 words. He'll go through his list, and then after each word, say the first word. Idea, image, phrase that comes to mind. Gotcha. And then we'll go from there. So, Lucas, your 10 words.
Thank you. I do have to excuse me also. I was constantly muting my mic because there's like contractors all going throughout the home right now. So it's like drilling and everything. So anyways, for our listeners and also for you, just my apologies first. Okay. First word of 10. Overalls.
Love them.
Nice. They're a vibe.
They are. Are you wearing them right now?
No, I thought, should I for the interview? Then I was like, I shouldn't overdo it. But
nice. And next word, we briefly touched upon it. Paint.
Paint. Colorful.
Nice. New.
Always exciting.
There we are. Hector.
Oh, see, I was thinking of Troy now when you said that. Amazing genius who took my vision to life.
There we are. Fidel.
The right hand of the genius, and maybe even more genius.
Nice. Nice. Home.
South Tyrol.
Where's that, if you don't mind me asking?
That's in the Alps of Italy. That's where I'm from.
Ah, sick. Nice. Drop.
New music.
There we are. This is a two-parter. Frank Ocean.
When is he finally dropping again? Goddamn.
True, man.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. Reality.
Very exciting at the moment.
Nice. Not sure or for listeners can hear, but the man is rocking a good stash right now. Like, it looks good.
Dude, I'm trying, bro. But when you're blonde, like, can't see it.
Oh yeah. You know what? I'm gonna be honest here. I honestly didn't realize you had a stash until you played with it. I was like, wait a second. What is going on? It's like, oh, he's got a stash.
Yeah, that's the struggle, man. When you're blonde, I should maybe color it or something. But it's okay. At the next episode next year, I'm gonna have a full beard.
Nice.
Wow. Rick Rubin, that man. I love it.
Rick Rubin.
Yeah. Last word. Content.
Finally here to showing what he can do.
Love it. Yeah. Josh, your 10.
All right, my 10 words. All right, first word, content. Childhood.
Paradise.
Banana.
Super healthy and very awesome in a smoothie.
Yes. Bananas, they really make it like pull a smoothie together. Ugh.
They do.
Next word. Sun.
Like sun, like the star, or my son?
Well, I mean, on here it says sun like the star, but if the first thing you think of is your offspring or potential offspring, then
Sun, beautiful and always present in LA.
Next word. Solitude.
Very important.
Next word. Goal.
Have we made it yet?
Yes, we always appreciate the shout out back to the podcast. Next word. River.
Nature. Very important. Calmness.
Nice.
Next word. Circle.
Squid Game.
Oh, nice. Very, very on point. Very on point. Very current events. All right. Kumquat.
Dude. I know you said this last time.
Yeah.
I still don't know what it means, man. You keep showing that I'm stupid.
It's a
fruit, right?
Fruit, yeah, but also no, I totally understand as well, because like if I go to a fruit market, like I rarely would come across one as well, like unless there's a sign. I wouldn't be able to really pick it out to you as well. I just stick with kumquat because it's just such a great sounding word, and it always gets a great reaction.
But is that the only name it has? Like if you go to the supermarket, you say, "Can I have a kumquat?"
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's like another word for it, but it's like if you've already hit gold with kumquat, it's like why call it something lesser?
True.
Okay, great. Next word. Winning.
Exciting, amazing. I love it.
And finally, finished.
What did you say?
Finished.
Finished. When we're dead.
That's what's up. Yeah. Hustle and grind until you're in the ground. All right. Welcome. Thank you. And welcome back to the episode. Welcome back to the podcast Kontent. It's great to have you again. So thank you for coming back on.
Thank you guys so much, man. Thank you for having me back. I appreciate it. And hopefully it's another one next year.
Sure. We're always looking out for that new content next year. But for new content now is New Reality being released on YouTube and as an MV out now. And definitely continue streaming it on Spotify. Where else do you want people to look for it?
So Spotify, and if you want the crazy video with it, which I would recommend, it's on YouTube.
Nice.
Cool. And we can also look you up on social media at Only Kontent.
Yes, Only Kontent with a K, and you'll find me everywhere.
Sick. Okay. All right. Lucas, what are your handles as well?
People can find me across social media at Lucas John Ng. The last name again is just 2 letters, N and G. Josh, where can people find you?
You can find me at Josh Yang Comedy across all social media. And of course, listen to the Sleep with Josh podcast. There's 60 great episodes on there. Do you really need more up-to-date episodes? I know there hasn't been that many in the last 2 months, but I mean, there's a great catalog in there. So if you want to listen to that, Sleep with Josh podcast is the podcast where I read boring things to help you go to sleep in my monotone voice. Other than that, also be sure to like, subscribe, follow this podcast at HWMIY podcast, and also please give us a review in the comments or on the Spotify or streaming websites because we like that engagement, just to know somebody's out there.
We're not just talking to the blackness,
the emptiness of void that is. Anyways, so thank you for coming and listening again to another episode with the great content. We'll
Thank
see
you,
everybody next week. All right.
Peace out.
Bye.
Peace.